Welcome to canning class with Denali. Today I'm going to teach you how to water bath can inside your pressure canner, the Tanker by Denali. And we're going to be doing a really fun recipe. We're going to be making cranberry juice. Cranberries are really easy to find and really affordable. So we're going to start with some fresh cranberries, some oranges, or you could use lemons. You're also going to need your pressure canner, obviously, some sugar, the jars you want to use, your lids and rings, and the accessories that I highly recommend would be a jar lifter and a funnel. You can do it without it, but it does make your life a whole lot easier. To begin, I'm adding my cranberries and water to a pot. For every 1 cup of cranberries, I'm adding 3 cups of water. So I have 4 cups of cranberries here. So I'll be adding 12 cups of water. Now we do need to add a sweetener. So for every 1 cup of cranberries I used, I'm using 1 cup of sugar. And the juice from 1 orange, minus the seeds. Oopsie. But if seeds get in here, don't worry, because we will be straining this. I'm just going to throw the rest of the oranges in here as well, because this is all going to boil down. So if I hadn't confused you yet, my ratio was 1 cup of cranberries to 3 cups water, 1 cup sugar, and the juice from 1 orange. I've quadrupled that recipe today because it is so delicious. It does not last long in our house. So as this begins to boil, all the cranberries are going to break down and pop open like this. Now I typically just taste as I go. Once everything's broken down and it's a beautiful red color, taste the way you want it, you're ready to strain, and then we'll water bath can, and it's super simple. So let's give it a try. Ooh, it's hot. Ocean spray who? This is so good. I cannot believe how good homemade cranberry juice is. All right, let's go ahead and strain this juice, and I'll show you how to water bath can in your Denali pressure tanker. I like to use a fine mesh strainer, and I'm just going to put all the juice in here and strain off the berries. Now I'm not going to throw this the berries and the oranges away. After I strain all this, I'm actually going to use an immersion blender and go ahead and blend those down, and I'll add a little sugar. Then I'm going to put them in my fruit leather mats in my Denali Beast dehydrator and make the kids some fruit leathers. They absolutely love it. So if you want to see that, let us know. But right now, I'm just going to strain all this beautiful juice. And can you see that color? Look at that. It is... Honestly, this is the best juice. It's so good for you, so easy to make, and I just love the color. It looks so pretty sitting on my canning pantry shelves. Now, using a funnel, I'm going to pour this into my jars. You could do pints or quarts, whatever size you prefer, and we're going to fill it to 1/4 inch of headspace. That means we're going to leave 1/4 inch of airspace at the top of the jar. And that is because this is a high acid food. That's why we can also water bath can it. So any food that is highly acidic, like your jams and jellies, fruits, fruit juices, can be water bath canned. Anything that is a low acid food, like soups, meat, potatoes, green beans, things like that, we would need to pressure can. But since this is a high acid food, we can go ahead and fill it to 1/4 inch headspace, like that. And water bath can it. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest of my jars. Now that my jars are filled, I'm going to wipe the rims clean. You can dip a paper towel in some white vinegar, and we just want to make sure there's no residue left on here, because that could interrupt your seal during the canning process, and then it wouldn't be shelf stable. You'd either have to reprocess it or put it in the fridge. So we're going to clean that up. And then we're going to use our Denali lids. It is recommended to use new lids every time that you can. Of course, we're using cleaned, disinfected jars, lids, and rings. Now, rings can be reused. So we're going to put our rings on here finger tight. And what that means is I'm just going to tighten it with my fingertips. I'm not going to crank on it with my wrist, because during the canning process, your rings will actually loosen up and you'll be removing them after it cools. So we don't want to crank them on there too hard. You could create a false seal. Just finger tight. Now I'm going to go ahead and put this on the stove top. This is the Tanker pressure canner, but I'm going to show you how to use it as a water bath canner. I'm going to go put it on the stove, and I'm going to fill it with some hot water, because remember, if we are canning hot liquid, we want this to be hot as well. We want to match temperatures. If this was cold, then we would do cold liquid. So let's go put some hot water. Okay, so a couple things to remember. Whether you're water bath or pressure canning, always have your rack at the bottom. We never want to put jars directly onto the bottom of the pan. And now we're going to go ahead and fill. Since we're water bath canning and not pressure canning, we need to cover the jars with 1 to 2 inches of water. So let's go ahead and fill it up with hot water now. Our jars are now completely covered with hot water. I'm also going to add a splash of white vinegar to our pot. And what that does is that just prevents your jars from kind of getting this white film on them while you water bath can them. If that were to happen and you forgot the white vinegar, it's okay. You can always clean it off after the jars, but it just helps keep your jars clear and pretty. Now, they do need to stay fully submerged in the boiling water during the entire process. So some like to keep a pot of hot water ready to go just in case you start to lose some, if it starts to evaporate. So now to turn this into a water bath canner instead of pressure canning it, I'm going to remove the weight. You can remove the rubber gasket if you want, but I don't, and it works just fine. We just don't want to seal this. If we seal this lid and lock it on, then it's going to start pressure canning. So I'm just going to set the lid on there. No weight, no locking, nothing. I'm just going to set it on there. Once it gets to a full boil, then I'm going to set a timer. So for pints, we're going to process for 10 minutes, and for quarts, we'll process for 15 minutes. Are up, so I'm going to go ahead and turn off the heat and lift this up away from me, because you don't want to hurt yourself with any steam or dripping hot water. Very carefully, using my jar lifter, this part that spins, the flat part, this is for your hands, and this part is for the jars. So very carefully, I'm going to remove my jars from the canner here undisturbed, and let them sit for 12 to 24 hours and let them cool completely, and then I can check the seal. And how you check the seal is you just take the rings off, and they're pretty loose already. You just take the rings off, and then if it's sealed, this is something that I did the other day, you should be able to just hold it up by the lid and it's not going anywhere. Then you know you're good and they are shelf stable. If for some reason it did not seal, you have two options. I would re-clean the rim, replace with a new lid and ring and reprocess, or just stick it in your fridge and drink it right away. We hope you've enjoyed today's recipe and lesson. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to check out our website at denalicanning.com or email at help@denalicanning.com.